thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and it means the world to me that you spend your mornings here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we seek to bring you your sports fix in a very different way where sports meets life. And so I tell people all the time, if you're a sports fan, obviously listen. If you're not a sports fan, we still have something for you. A lot of great things coming up on today's broadcast inside of these Cafe Kubal studios. And first and foremost, we are going to get into, and typically it's the annoying moment of the week, but we switch things up, and I blame Shawn Peake for it. So we're going to have Shawn on the broadcast here in just a second. I must like him if I'm willing to move our longest standing segment to get him in here this morning. So Shawn Peake's going to be joining me inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', the head coach of the Bryant Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse baseball team in their inaugural season for an all-new Bobcat Buzz. Then we'll have the annoying moment of the week just a few minutes after that, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. Lead will be in its normal spot at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. Focusing on today's topic, don't hide who you are. The top dog of the week will be announced at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, proudly presented by Canine Kamp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding of East Syracuse. Liz Beville will be with me for an all-new special that we have going into this weekend, Dolphin Dive, as we dive into the 6-2 start for the lacrosse team for women's lacrosse on Moyne Colleges on the Heights here. And so Liz will be joining us to speak on the 6-2 start, as well as takeaways from the season thus far, and the Phin Phrenzy coming up this weekend, the fan event that you all need to be going out to this Saturday, April 1st, starting at 11 a.m. And we'll round out the show by staying a little bit longer than 11 o'clock as we bring on Bob Holliday of WRALSportsFan.com to speak on the disrespect of the ACC after he just wrote his column breaking it all down. So a lot of great stuff coming up, a lot of fantastic people, and a jam-packed Friday. So with that being said, may I bring in my first guest to you, and I appreciate so very much the time that we get to spend together, and I'm always happy every single show, and hopefully he knows this too. Every time we talk about the Bobcats and the Bobcat Buzz and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership, I make it a point to say making history with the inaugural season. First ever coach, first ever season, first ever student athletes on the roster. All types of new. It's only going to happen once, and we bang that drum every single broadcast. So I'm happy to have the head coach on the show, Shawn Peake. Shawn, how we doing?
Hey, man. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, and you and I were talking about it off the air. Not only are you in season, but opening day of Major League Baseball, so you got happy upon happy. You know, you're coaching your team, and baseball is back overall in Major League Baseball, so I feel like yesterday was an extra special moment for you.
Oh, yeah, it was great. Aaron Judge is on the board with number one. That's the first thing I'll start with there. The Yanks are on the board with a nice W, and Aaron Judge hit his first one and pitched number two he saw. So I gotta love that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a great start for the New York Yankees and a lot of fun. You and I were talking about this off the air, but I put out the poll to ask people where they felt these teams would be, and I said, who's going to have more wins this season, the Mets or the Yankees? It's a tough poll question to ask. That's why I asked it. I wanted to see where people were at. And so I know you're a Yankee fan, but where do you see things? Do you believe that it's going to be the Yankees with more wins than the Mets, or the Mets with more wins than the Yankees when the regular season finishes?
So, like I said earlier to you, I definitely think it's going to be very close. They could be right around 100 wins each, but as a Yankee fan, I'm always going to say the Yanks are going to beat the Mets, and so they're going to have one more win probably.
Well, I will tell you this. The people have spoken so far on the poll. 62.5% have chosen the Mets. 37.5% have chosen the Yankees. So I don't know who you know on Twitter at CallDT, but you might have to get some of your Yankee fans to come vote in this poll.
I'll definitely do it. Hey, the Mets will, they're always going to find a way to lose. So hopefully they'll just continue to do that this year for me.
Taking shots early morning, always a good thing.
I'm taking shots at some of my players. A lot of my players are Mets fans, so we always go back and forth with each other.
Yeah, you got some, and you got Red Sox fans too.
We got Yankees, Red Sox, and Mets fans for most of us.
Yeah, how does that dynamic work on the Bryant Stratton baseball team here in Syracuse when you have Yankees, Mets and Red Sox fans. I mean, obviously they're playing together on Bryant Stratton's team, but how do they talk when it's about Major League Baseball? Is there a lot of razzing? How? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I got to imagine, because I know that when I sat down with them, they were talking about it, and immediately after we did the interview, they were like, "Oh, come on, man! Like, really, you're gonna say that? Nah, I'm gonna say, And so like it was already starting. So is this like an everyday thing?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So-
Pretty much just an everyday thing, especially with it starting yesterday. Everybody's wearing their Mets, Yankees, Red Sox gear, all that kind of stuff. So it definitely was started already.
Nice. I like it. Well, speaking of starting already, so has the season here for Bryant Stratton College Syracuse's baseball team in their inaugural year, and in this campaign with Shawn Peake at the helm of it. What can you tell us so far that you've taken away from this season when you look at the games that you've been able to play? Because I know weather's been a factor up here in Central New York. What's the season been like up to this point from your eyes?
It's been a wild ride for us. It's definitely been a lot of ups and downs where we think we're gonna play, and then boom, we're done. And then hey, we're gonna play again, and then boom, we're done. So it's been highs and lows and trying to keep the energy up and this and that. But getting back on the field on Wednesday was great. Finally, we knocked a little bit of rust off. I think in game one, didn't play our best game again. But results, aren't really what I'm looking for right now. I'm just trying to see the little things that we're getting better at and continue moving forward with those. And in game two, it was a completely different game where we're playing Bryant Stratton Albany for both games, and completely we got shut out in the first game, and we scored 12 runs in the second game. So us scoring 12 runs to me was just incredible. The way they kind of fought back, we were kind of up and down the entire game, but at the end, even when things definitely weren't going our way with the umpire, this, that, bad calls, anything wasn't really going our way, but at the end, they just continued to fight, and what they showed me is that we really have something that we can build off of, and that we'll keep this momentum kind of going. And guys, I showed you that we can do this now. We just put up 12 runs against a really good Bryant Stratton Albany team that was in the World Series last year. And I'm not going to take anything away from that. We just played a pretty good game. We just now have to put it together a little bit more, start playing a little bit better defense, and, start pitching a little bit better. But, hey, I love the momentum that we kind of have and the potential that we can now see that we have.
Yeah, and like you said, you're this in the inaugural season, you're looking to see improvement from game to game. You're looking to see the team move forward. This isn't simply wins and losses. I mean, this is a team that's never played together before, never had this opportunity before. There's never been a program for Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse before, so all of this is new. So you're looking for steady growth and improvement. Are you seeing it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually a lot of the guys are progressing quicker, and like I said, even from game one to game two on Wednesday, it was a completely different team that I even saw. Where, like I said, Albany's played a bunch of games. They're 30 games in, and we're 4 games in now. And, we're going into them only having 2 games in. So after our third game, our game 4, okay, I start seeing some stuff that we're all right. We're going to be okay. The guys are going to progress and progress and progress, and some of them have gotten there a lot quicker than I've even thought they might.
Who has when you look at your team in and of itself, who are some of the guys that are ahead of schedule, in your opinion, that are maybe starting to show some leadership on this team?
So Captain Max Santos, he's been killing it. He's definitely shown the leadership and just the ability out on the field. Yeah, is he perfect out on the field? Absolutely not. But what he's been doing, he's been showing it. You can do it on and off the field, be a leader on and off. And, his abilities are, he's a very good ball player. He's been hitting pretty well. He's been squaring some balls up, and he pitched the other day. Even though he was sick, he wasn't feeling too good. He actually still played very well. So he's one of the guys definitely that's been stepping up for us. Evan Reynolds, he's been stepping up for us behind the plate. It's been some tough games back there, but hey, I guess somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to get through it. And I'll say Alex Garcia, he's been showing me some good stuff. Definitely showing me some good stuff on the mound. He's progressing. He's learning. He's gonna get there someday. And he played defense. He played right field in game 2 for us. I think he got one base hit, and he put the ball in play a couple times, and he got on base. So that's really, he scored a couple runs. That's kind of what I'm asking for, and it's little things that I can pick out of these guys. And I could go through the whole lineup, to be completely honest. Who's getting better and, little things we're doing, because everybody played on Wednesday. Every single 17 guys, every single one of them played on Wednesday. Somebody did something. So I can say even from day 1 of practice till now, was I going to say, okay, I'm going to play 17 guys on this day? I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do that. But now I can say, okay, hey, I can do and play this guy at this position and whatever he needs to do.
Well, and that's the thing, too, speaking here with Shawn Peake, and a very special edition of the Bobcat Buzz here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Bobcats of Syracuse. And so, like you said, did you know you're going to be able to play all 17 players, at this point in the season? You didn't. But the fact of their maturation process and them coming up and doing what they've been doing, this has got to be fun, like we talked about, for you as a coach, to be able to get them all out there, see them all out there. Why do you think the team is growing ahead of schedule?
I think it's because of how close we are. I really do. I think it's how much of a team they actually already are. How tight. You've seen them. You've seen how many times now how tight they actually are.
Yeah.
And I really think it's because of that. Truly because of that.
Yeah, and seeing this team grow and evolve and blossom, what has been one of your shining moments? I know you talked about how, in the doubleheader, the way that they played most recently against Bryant Stratton College of Albany. Do you have another moment that sticks out to you that it really just kind of made you smile as a coach?
Our last inning against Albany, we cut the deficit from, let's see, what we were at 14. We cut it to 14 to 10. It was 14 to 8. And then we came out, we got a couple outs, a couple things didn't go our way on defense, a couple bad calls, and then they ended up, hit, and they put like 8 hits together in a row, a couple home runs, and they scored 14 on us in the 6th inning after we cut it to 4. And we were all high and mighty and this and that. What I saw is they didn't put their heads down. What I saw is we were ready to go into fight. And we came back out and put up 4 runs after kind of getting our butts kicked and being down and things really not going our way. I genuinely thought they should have went our way. But, of course, that's me being, for my guys. But they didn't come in and put their heads down. They went in and fought. We were down to 2 strikes and 2 outs, and we only scored 1 run at that time. And a guy that was fresh off the bench, he started game 1 on the mound. You know what? I didn't have any more guys to pinch hit because Max is sick, this, that. And, hey, guess what? Spence, you're hitting now. And he's 0-2. And guess what? He hits a little blooper, and now things are keep going. And now we put up 4 runs in the inning. And I couldn't have been happier. I really couldn't have been happier. That was a moment for me. I was like, okay, guys, this is exactly where we have to build off of. We're not – we don't have the biggest roster. We're not going to be the guys that are hitting the homers and doing this and all the big things that the big teams are going to be able to do right now. But we have to be the team that scraps and fights and claws till the end. And it doesn't matter when and where, who we're playing, what we're doing. We just have to continue to try to fight and fight and fight.
Yeah, that coming here from Shawn Peake, the head coach of the Bryant Stratton College baseball team here in Syracuse. Let everybody know what's coming up here on the schedule, because as the schedule has changed this season due to weather and whatnot, let them know when they're going to see you next.
Absolutely. So we have this Saturday, we are playing Fisher College at Cayuga Community College. We're using their field for the day. They got turf, so we'll be out there in Auburn this weekend. We're looking at Sunday, we're looking at being home at our home field in Clay, as long as weather can kind of permit us on that one. I'm hoping that one's going to be there, but I'm not too sure that one's going to end up happening. I'm kind of praying for that. Back at the schedule, we are at Gutches in Cortland on next Tuesday. We're playing Penn State Scranton. And then from there, we're pretty much on the road for the next few weeks. until we have another home game against our last home game against Bryant Stratton Albany on April 16th. So if people are around town, those would be our next home games, but we can continue to watch on our live stream as well. We did have the live stream up this past Wednesday with our VO camera right on our website, and all the other schools that will be going to play, they'll have their live streams up as well.
That coming here from Shawn Peake. Big games coming up here. Fisher in Auburn this Saturday. A doubleheader starting at noon Eastern time up at Falcon Park in Auburn. And then in Clay against Fisher on Sunday, a hopeful doubleheader at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. You and I will be in touch with these games coming up here, Shawn, and we'll do some fun things with the team. I got some thoughts, so we'll have a good time, and hopefully the games will go off in Clay. We know the games will be happening in Auburn tomorrow, and so we hope to see you out there and very much appreciate everybody that comes out to the games, watches the live streams, and supports Bryant Stratton in their inaugural season and beyond this. As always, Shawn, thank you for your time. Thanks for a look inside of the program, and thank you for your fight. I know you're busy and running around. You got practice coming up soon, so go handle your business, and you and I will be talking soon.
Absolutely, buddy. Always a pleasure.
All right, man. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Yep, have a good one.
You too. Take care. That coming from Shawn Peake here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. Appreciate having Shawn on the broadcast always here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So doing a great job building up this program and finding ways to get into it. Scoring 12 runs recently here, which was awesome. And listen, this is an inaugural season. I don't care what sport you play. I don't care what level you play. Inaugural seasons are always those seasons where you're learning, you're growing, you're working to evolve, and it takes time. An inaugural season for anybody in the NFL, I won't forget, the Houston Texans inaugural season. They ended up, the offensive line did not help David Carr at the time, Derek Carr's older brother. He was sacked 91 times or 92 times. So everything takes work, everything takes time, everything takes patience. And I'm happy that Shawn's the leader as this team goes through the evolution of the program. I'm really excited for that. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the annoying moment of the week. Thank you for your patience on that, as we had to change things up a little bit today. The annoying moment of the week coming to you from Carvel DeWitt right now.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you... Is that for real? Are you kidding me? The annoying moment of the week. I don't know how to respond to this. Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like. You have to be that crazy. I guess so.
The annoying moment of the week this week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. You know what I mean? So there's some things that are the annoying moments. I would say my annoying moment of this week has to do with people that are hypocrites. I think, if you know me, my pet peeve, one of my pet peeves, and I don't have a ton, but one of my pet peeves are people that are hypocrites. Do as I say, not as I do, And I was talking to somebody on the phone this week, and we were having a discussion, and they were all about acceptance, right? Accepting everybody. Let's accept everyone. We need to accept. And then I threw a curveball at the person. And I was like, well, what about these people? Do you accept this behavior? Do you accept this going on in society? Do you accept that? And they were kind of silent. Well, I don't know about those things, and I'm not sure. And then I realized really quickly, they didn't accept me. So in this world of acceptance that they live in, they did not accept me as a person. They did not accept my belief in God. They did not accept some of the thoughts I had about certain things. And so I realized that they were accepting of things that they were okay with, things that maybe they believe in or they think, but not necessarily what other people think or how other people feel. And to be somebody with an accepting heart means understanding and seeking to understand, which this person did not. So I would say, hypocrites has got to be my annoying moment of the week, because at 37 years old, I am not here to defend my belief in God, defend that I'm proud to be a man, defend that, why I'm a broadcaster or whatever. I'm proud to be the person that I am. And it's going to lead, as it always does, perfectly into the segment lead, the annoying moment of the week, because today we're talking a lead about don't hide who you are. Don't shy away from who you are. Society today, to me, it feels like they don't like men. And there's all these things about anti-men. And we're not all bad. You know what I mean? And not all women are bad. And not all kids are bad. And, I think what you should be realizing in society is that media, not here, because I don't believe in it, and I could never do this to you, but media seeks to divide and there's a lot of powers that be, but part of it is media divides and conquers, right? Powers that be seek to divide us and conquer. So if you say everyone that's one color has to be here, every woman has to be here, every man has to be here, every sexual orientation of this part has to be here, and that part has to be here, and this part has to be here, nationalities have to be here, money has to be here. All that is making us not be together, so we don't share ideas and we don't share plans and we don't work together, because society is easier to crumble when you separate it. And I don't think people realize that that's happening. I don't think people see it. And I see it because, number one, I have a brain. Number two, I don't let people tell me what it is. I seek the truth. I don't look for somebody to just tell me what the truth is. So I seek the truth. I'm an honest person. I believe in God. I pray every day. And I do what I call hand-to-hand combat, and it's not combat, but I just say hand-to-hand because I go out into the community and I meet with people and I talk with people and I learn about people. I learn about people that have different views than me. I learn about people that have the same views as me. And I'm open. I do truly accept people and I listen to what people have to say and I seek to understand people. Now, do I accept everything in society? No. Because some things in our society are downright nuts. And, our justice system, I see its flaws with one of my friends and what they're going through right now. I see the fact that we spend more money on technology that is useless than we do on technology that can save lives. So, do I think we can get better? Yeah. Do I think there's a lot of powers that be that try to divide that? Of course. And, I look at the hypocrisy of somebody saying, accept me for who I am, but I'm not going to accept you for who you are. Or don't change me, but I seek to change you. And so that's my annoying moment of the week because I consider myself a person who's a funny guy. I like to laugh. I like to, get other people to laugh and have a good time. And being on the phone with this person, I genuinely just wanted to get off. I don't even know why I was on the phone. It was like I was in a time warp. I was just stuck there on the phone. Like, why am I on the phone right now? Why am I even talking to you? You don't respect me. You don't listen. You don't care. It doesn't matter. So, just let me be. And I think the thing is when I find people that are so argumentative or negative or they have all these rules or it's do as I say, not as I do or hypocritical, I talk with them in hopes that I can get them to open their mind. But I don't have time to sit there with someone who's closed-minded and beg them to open their mind or beg them to understand. I will tell you this. I'm not the type of person that's going to defend myself. And what I mean by that is I love who I am. I know who I am, but I'm not going to spend hours telling you that why it's okay for me to be who I am. And I don't think anybody should have to do that. I really don't. If you love the skin you're in, which is a very tough thing to do, especially in today's society where everybody's telling you who to be, if you're proud of who you are, that is a beautiful thing. And you have to hold on to that. You have to hold on to that and nurture that every day. Because you can't just say on Monday, I'm happy with who I am, and then not work it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because by Friday, you've forgotten who you are if you're not constantly working on that. And I think the devil sends people and things and places and whatnot and experiences to try and shake you. And I think that God also sends you experiences and things and whatever to understand where you're at. And so, I think when your identity and your character is attacked, you have to stick up for yourself. And I don't think there's a lot of people sticking up for men in society on like a media scale. And I think that's really sad because my grandfather's terrific men. My dad has evolved in our relationship to really be a friend. And, you know, I have so many friends that are fantastic husbands and great fathers and good boyfriends and, you know, great and hardworking people and not yes men and honest people and just loving, caring souls. So, you know, I find my need to stick up for people at certain times, and I never thought I would have to stick up for men in general as a race, but, you know, I just feel like I have to today. Like, I have to say, hey, you know, why when I go to get a card for Easter, are there no dad cards? You know, there's like a billion mom cards, but it's like, who had a bad dad at Hallmark that they just thought, we're not going to make dad cards? And I remember one Christmas, I was looking for a card for my dad, and there were two. And there was about 70 for my mom. They, you know, my mom, it was like funny, religious, blank, serious, da 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 da. And for my dad, it was like this one or that one. And I just remember, and it was at like Target. It wasn't at like some random store. It was at Target. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, the image of this makes it look like most dads are bad. You know, like most dads don't deserve a card. And I think that that's so sad and it's so wrong. And I think we need to stop grouping people. So, I mean, hypocrisy leading into the bigger picture of the fact that stop grouping people. Don't group people by color, by race, by gender, by nationality, by money, by sex. Just stop. Because the only reason why people are trying to make you hate people that don't look like you and sound like you is so that they can control you. That's all that is. Think about when you dated somebody and they try to ostracize you from all your friends and family. That's exactly what's happening on a larger scale. And you have to hold on to that. My friends are all colors of the rainbow. I'm not listening to the media tell me to hate everybody, or else I wouldn't be friends with any of my friends. And I surround myself with people that I love. We're not all the same. I just love them. Some of them believe in God. Some of them don't know what they believe in. Some of them don't believe. Some of them have a different sexual orientation than me. Some of them have different skin color than me. Some of them are different shapes and sizes than me. But we're not friends because of that. We're friends beyond that. We're friends beyond our differences. And I think that you have to really do that in your life. You have to be friends with people that are different than you. And I'm not saying, you know, someone's going to bring you down like you don't do drugs, they do drugs. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, you know, be open to new experiences and be open to learning from people. You know, I would be friends with my friends no matter what they are. It just so happens that we don't have the same religion or we don't have the same sexuality. And it's not that I didn't seek that. I didn't say, oh, I have to have a friend who's, you know, a different color than me. And some people do seek that. But I seek to find good people. And when I find good people, I hold on to those good people, regardless of our differences. And I think, you know, we need to do a better job at, number one, not being hypocrites and not asking people to accept things when we don't accept things, but to be open to new experiences and differences of opinion. I think our country's getting lost right now in the fact that we only hang out with people that think the same way that we do. And I don't think that that's fair. And I'm always willing to have proper discourse with somebody who doesn't agree with me, but there's a place where I'll stop that discourse if you disrespect me. And I find that there's a lot of people out there that say that they believe in proper discourse and conversation and diplomacy, but if you don't agree with them, they attack you viciously. And they think that because they don't yell at you and they don't call you names, it's not an attack. But there are mental attacks that people can take that are very diabolically oriented in a way where it's like threading a needle, and you have to pay attention to it, where someone seeks to understand you, when in actuality, they're just questioning why you believe what you believe, and they want you to question yourself. And I don't like that. I don't like that. And I don't know how we got to a point in society where it's do as I say, not as I do. And I guess it's always been there, but it's more prevalent now because we can see it on social media and people can reach out to anybody in the world. It just seems like, you know, people have this way about them where it's like, you can believe whatever you want to believe as long as it's the same thing that I believe. And that's in and of itself a hypocritical statement, right? Believe what you believe as long as it's what I believe. And, that's ridiculous. So I would tell people with this annoying moment of the week, because we always spin it to a positive, be open, be honest, be you, right? Stop letting the world push you into a corner where you start giving up everything that you are and you lose your identity. Don't hide who you are. We're going to talk about that right after the break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios in this edition of the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. And we got something special coming up for you at Carvel DeWitt, the longest standing Carvel franchise in America. Something's getting unveiled in April, as promised, and we are ready, and I can't wait. We'll be back right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life, and we are proud to be here in this Friday edition. TGIF. I don't know why TGIF hasn't come back, why we haven't found 4 sitcoms we could put on a Friday from 8 to 10 p.m. on ABC to spread family values, positivity, and bring families together to have dinner together and either have dinner at home and watch TGIF or go out, grab some pizza like we used to do, get some dinner, have some fun, and then rush home to make sure we're home by 8 o'clock. So I don't know why we don't do it anymore. I think we need to do it. I think society needs it. So, in my opinion. With that being said, we're going to jump into lead the next part of the broadcast here on our Friday edition of Wake Up Call. Today's topic, don't hide who you are. Don't. Well, Dan, that sounds simple enough. I'm not going to hide who I am. Yeah, okay. Let me tell you something. You will be challenged. You will be challenged, my friends, coworkers, colleagues, family. You will, strangers, you will be challenged. You will constantly be challenged. And people will ask you to hide who you are. You know what? It's fine you believe in God. Why don't you put that cross inside of your, why don't you put that inside of your collar? We don't want anybody getting ideas, right? I've worked for 2 businesses, big businesses, that asked me to hide my cross. One of the businesses asked me to put my cross inside my shirt or to take it off. And then eventually they told me to take it off. I put it in my back pocket and I lost it. I never found it. Nobody turned it in. And I remember one time I was working at a restaurant that I'll leave unnamed, and on their door they put Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. That's what they put for years. I don't know if they still do, because I genuinely don't care anymore. But it's because they didn't live by it. But Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And maybe some other locations do, because it is a chain place. But it said Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And I was wearing my cross one day. And I went up to a man and a woman. And they were probably in their 70s, been together for a while. Fantastic couple, really sweet couple. And I said, Merry Christmas. And they said, thank you so much, Merry Christmas. And I told my trainer, I said, yeah, I think he might have overheard me say Merry Christmas or something like that. And he said, hey, just so you know, corporate doesn't really like that. They kind of frown upon that. I said, frown upon what? He's like, well, you know what you just said. And I was like, what? Merry Christmas? And he goes, yeah, you probably don't want to say that. I was like, Jim, it's on the door. And so I was really upset about it. And I went over to the woman, her husband was in the bathroom, and I went over to her and I said, hey, apparently I'm not allowed to say Merry Christmas to you, but I appreciate you saying it. And she said, who told you that? And I pointed to my trainer. She goes, walk into the other dining room, because there's multiple dining rooms. She goes, walk by him. I got something for him. And so I walked by and I got close to him, and she yelled out, she goes, hey, Dan, Merry Christmas. And he looked at her. And I looked at him, and because she shouted it, by all these people, and I took out my cross. I said, when you decide to die for me, I'll take this off. In the meantime, I'm going to keep it on. And by the way, if corporate fires me, make sure that they put freedom of religion so that I can sue them in court. And, but that was one of the examples in my life I've never forgotten of don't hide who you are. Be proud of who you are. Catholic, Christian, other Christian denominations, right? So if you're Christian Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, on and on and on and on and on. Be proud of who you are. And be proud of where you came from, right? Be proud of your religion. Be proud of your faith. Be proud of your family. Be proud that you're blue collar or white collar or whatever collar, right? Be proud of what country that you came from. Be proud of who you are. It is so imperative for you to be proud of who you are. And if you're not proud of who you are, if there's something you don't like that you've done or failed to do, then change it, right? Change it. Because he who stands for nothing falls for everything. And that's a reality, folks, and I need you to know that. He or she who stands for nothing will fall for anything. And that's real deal. That's real deal. If you don't know who you are, this country will tell you. People will tell you. You will be morphed based on the people that you hang out with, the people that you date, the places that you go. You will be morphed. It's not that experiences in life shouldn't shape and affect, but when you know who you are at your core, that is going to help you. Because I've experienced things in life that could have changed me. They could have made me not me. I've experienced really tough, adverse moments with people that could have mutated me into who I'm not. So because I knew who I was at my core, and in my opinion, I have God at my core. And I can't stand that in 2023. When I started broadcasting, I talked about God freely and I didn't even think about it. Now, every time I say God, I think about, oh my gosh, who am I offending? Who cares? Who cares who I'm offending? I believe in God. If that's offensive to you, it's like me telling you I am a loving, caring person who believes in treating people with respect. That's what I say when I say I believe in God. When I say I believe in God, I'm saying I believe in goodness, kindness, empathy, compassion, love, sacrifice. You're against that stuff? It's like when somebody says I hate Disney, I go, well, okay, I guess you don't like happiness. So on a smaller scale, obviously I'm not comparing Disney to God. Disney's got a lot of problems, but it's I've done broadcasting for almost 20 years now. It'll be 20 years in November. Never in my life did I think that on a daily basis, when I say God, there might be somebody listening that might go, ooh, like somebody burned them, like it's affecting them. You know what I mean? And I find it with people, they're, oh, I believe in God, I just don't talk about it. I can't talk about it. And I'm like, why can't you talk about it? People talk about horrible things. People talk about vile things. They make fun of things that are not funny. And you can't talk about something good in your life. So talk about God. Be about God. Love God. Because I'm going to tell you something. At the end of your life, if you really believe in God, what do you think God's going to say when you've hidden him your whole life? Right? You can't hide who you are. And, I go back to the Columbine massacre, and allegedly there was a girl that was in the cafeteria, I believe it was in the cafeteria, and one of the shooters came up to her and said, do you believe in God? And she said, yes, and he shot her. And I think about, what if she said no, and she did believe, and she had to live with that for the rest of her life? You should be proud of what you believe in, right? And it should matter to you. I have friends, some of my best friends are Jewish. So I believe that Jesus is the Son of God. They believe that Jesus was a really nice person. We both believe he existed in totally different ways. Yet, we're really close. How does that happen? Well, because they don't hide who they are, and I don't hide who I am, and I don't ask them to be me, and they don't ask me to be them. I did have a friend that was pushing me to be something that I wasn't. We're not friends anymore. Because he, again, going back to the annoying moment of the week, he accepted everybody except me. He accepted people who had viewpoints that matched his viewpoints, and he challenged everybody else. And if anybody challenged him, he got butthurt about it, and he got weird about it. So we're not friends anymore, because I'm not going to be friends with somebody who seeks to change the world and never thinks that anything about them might need to change. And challenges everybody, but does not accept the challenge. Hypocrisy is an ugly thing. And it will lead you to a lonely life. He lost a friend at 12 years because he attacked me viciously and said some vile and horrible things to me when I never pushed anything on him. I believed what I believed, and he couldn't accept the fact that I was different. And different in a way that wasn't affecting anybody. I'm the type of person where if you are totally different than me and I don't understand your lifestyle at all, I'm like, sit with me, have some coffee, let's talk about it, have some tea with me and let's discuss your life. I've had conversations with people whose lifestyle I didn't understand at all, and I walked away from it going like, wow, like that was a really cool conversation, I appreciate the fact that we got to talk. And I think that that's important. You should not hide who you are, folks. You shouldn't. You shouldn't do it for a relationship of any kind. If you're not being yourself, you have to play that character for the rest of your life. And by the way, if you're playing the character of not you, who's playing you in your story? If you play the character of not you for long enough, then nobody's playing you. And are you willing to die like that? Are you willing to die with the world only knowing the version of yourself that's fake, fabricated, that's not real, that was put in place to please other people? Is that the legacy you want to leave on this planet? Is they never really knew me. They knew a version of me that I gave them, right? Or the person that's different with all their friend groups. That's always interesting to me. Somebody who is different depending on who they talk to. So they talk different. Maybe they talk very eloquently with one group, then they talk with a slang to another group, then they talk with an accent to one group, then they talk with a different accent to another group, or they talk about God and then they don't talk about God. It's like the cafeterias in high school, right? You get up from one table, you sit down, you talk a certain way. You get up, you go to another one, you talk another way. You talk another way, you talk another way. Before you know it, you've been 5 different people in the cafeteria. Has anybody played you? See, in the movie of life, if you don't be who you are, who's playing you? Right? You really want to be on your deathbed someday and say, nobody really knew me. I believed in God, but I couldn't talk about it. This is, what I love to do, and this is my passion, but I couldn't share it with anybody. Is that how you want to leave your legacy? saying who I was in private is not who I was in person. And nobody really knew who I was. That's the legacy that you want to leave on this planet. Nobody really knew me. I don't want that for you. I don't want you to hide who you are. I want you to be who you are, right? I believe in God. I don't care what Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, I don't care what anybody thinks. I believe in God. And to me, there's no other option. I know some people don't, but to me, there's no other option. If you come to me and say, Dan, I don't believe, that's fine. Do you. Be who you are. But to me, there is no other option. I believe in God. I believe in God, and I am proud to believe in God. God is everything to me. God is not a fabricated thing that I use. One girl told me one time in dating, she said, you believe in God because like everybody else, you can't handle life and you need a crutch. God is the thing you lean on and you created so that you can go through life, because without God, without this fake belief in a thing that doesn't exist, you couldn't handle it. And I thought, wow, what happened to this person in their life that made them that vile in nature and that negative? And to me, why do I believe in God? There's a billion reasons, right? I believe in God because God created me. Did I create myself? Are we that stupid to think that we made ourselves? By the way, too, if evolution exists and God does not exist with evolution and it's strictly evolution, then riddle me this. We've been on this planet for thousands and thousands of years. Why haven't we evolved? Right? And if we evolved from apes, then why did some apes not evolve? If we came from fish, then why did some fish stay fish? How did that happen? Right? Now, if evolution exists, then it stands to reason that there should be a race more evolved than us on planet Earth that over time developed itself. And we are the Neanderthals now. And maybe in some cases, there are some Neanderthals that are human beings. I could name a few. But you know what I mean? Look at where we are. To say that there's no intelligent design, there's no God, that everything just randomly, coincidentally happened, that we got put on a perfect planet, far enough away from the sun, but close enough to the sun, and we orbit in the right rate, and asteroids don't typically hit us by sheer coincidence, and the sea level has not taken over the land by sheer coincidence, and the temperatures are okay on this planet to live on by sheer coincidence. I mean, when you really break it all down, people sound idiotic when they say there is no God. Everything happened by chance. Everything is a perfect coincidence. There has been perfect coincidences happening in a domino effect since the beginning of time. Everything that's happened in life that has allowed for human beings to be on planet Earth was simply by accident. Do you know how stupid that sounds? Everything in life is by accident. Let me ask you a question. In your life, did you get your job by accident? Okay. Are you in your relationship by accident? You might have bumped into somebody by accident, but that's not how you're in that relationship. You might have met them by accident. You might have met them by sheer chance. But if you're married to them 10 years later, there wasn't a bunch of accidents and chances, because at some point you have to show that person who you are, and they have to make the decision that they want to be around that person for the rest of their lives. So the person you're married to, that's not by accident. The person that you're friends with, that's not by accident. You might have met by accident, but you don't accidentally meet from that. If you bump into somebody in a bookstore and you become best friends, you don't not talk to them until you bump into them again. Right? If you're okay, you meet Cheryl in the bookstore, you're best friends with Cheryl. Do you call Cheryl to hang out and have coffee, or you just wait till you bump into Cheryl again and then go, oh, Cheryl, coffee, because we're here now? No, you call your friends. So things may happen by chance, but it's not by chance every single time that things happen. There are things that accidentally happen, right? You bump into a girl and, she spills her coffee. You say, oh my God, let me help you. You go and wipe it all up. She says, I don't know. I've never known a guy to do that. You say, well, I'm Dan. Nice to meet you. She says her name. You start laughing and talking. You say, let me get you another cup of coffee. Now all of a sudden you're married 10 years later. So that moment, but I also believe in serendipity. So was it really by chance that you bumped into that person? You could have banged into anybody. So put it to you like this. I've crossed paths with a ton of people that if it's totally by accident, totally by chance, there's no intelligent design and there's no plan in place. It's ridiculous the people that I have encountered that all seem to, like, that worked out in my favor. So I don't believe in random life. I believe that life is purposeful. And I believe that as much as you might accidentally bump into somebody or you might by chance, whatever, what you do from there is not, right? What you do from there is purposeful. If you bump into a girl and you like her and she likes you, you don't accidentally go out on 5 dates. You don't by happenstance go out on 10 dates. You don't just say, hey, I'm not going to ask you out. Don't give me your number. I'll just hopefully see you again. And if I see you again in that moment, we'll drop what both of us are doing, leave all of our groceries in the cart, and we'll go get coffee. People would think you're nuts. Maybe not in today's society because today's society is nuts. But it's the reality of, if you don't believe in God, you have to refute almost everything about creation and existence. Let me ask you this. Why do people who speak different languages and come from different places, why do we show affection the same way? Why do we, no matter what our religion is, our background is, our color is, our nationality is, our money is, our language is, we have children the same way. We kiss, we hug. Punching someone in the face in any society is considered wrong. Kissing anybody in society is considered that you are affectionate and you like that person. So how come we can all speak the same language when we all speak different languages? Right? How come we all speak the same language? How come we show things the same way? How come, no matter where you're from, when you drive a car, there's a wheel on it, right? Cars don't look different in other countries. It's not like you sit on the top of the car in Japan. It's not like the wheel's in the back seat in another country. So, and then someone's going to refute me and go, well, Dan, in certain countries, they drive on other sides of the road and blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, okay, there's a little bit of difference. But is the wheel still in the front? Do you still have to drive the same way? Do you still have to brake the same way? You don't brake with your mind, do you? You don't brake by accident. You don't brake by chance. You don't brake by, evolution. You brake because there's the brake and there's a car in front of you. So, as different as the world tries to tell us that we are, we're really not. We're really not. And when you hide who you are as a person, when you allow society to take your identity away, that is the fastest way to own society. When you destroy someone's identity, you can destroy them. A society is best attacked when it is divided and when it is confused. Society in disarray is a society that is easy to control. A society that believes everyone that looks different than me or thinks different than me is wrong. A society that believes that is a society that will shut their doors, hide in their house, and watch television and believe what they're told. And that society is an easy society to attack. Think about any movie you've ever seen. And this is what I don't understand about people. You will go to the movies, but when it happens in real life, you don't believe it's happening. When you go to a movie and you see Hunger Games and people are put into different districts, how do you not see that in real life? How do you not see divide and conquer? Make these people believe that they're too different to be similar. They're too different to get along. If people believe that they're too different to get along, they won't get along. And if they don't get along, they'll learn to hate each other. They'll teach their children to hate children that don't look like them, sound like them, act like them. And eventually, society will be in a bunch of pieces. Well, what society is supposed to be is a giant big puzzle where the pieces look different, but they fit together. When you break the puzzle apart and you tell those pieces that they're not supposed to work together, You never see the big picture. And a lot of people these days, including the person I was on the phone with this week, is not seeing the big picture. And that's unfortunate. And I pray that they do. Puzzle pieces are made, they look different, but they're supposed to come together to form a bigger picture. And if you divide those pieces, you can't see the picture. So divide and conquer prevents a beautiful picture. Work together, learn from each other, evolve with each other, learn, evolve, ad-lib, deliver. That's what LEAD stands for here. Presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Learn from each other, evolve with each other, ad-lib when things don't necessarily go the way you want them to go or when society's going in the wrong direction, and deliver on the promises you've made. As long as they are good, right? Don't deliver on hurting people. But that's a given in my world. Learn, evolve, ad-lib, deliver. Learn together, evolve together, ad-lib together, deliver promises together. Together. Right now, we're a bunch of puzzle pieces in America that we're told to stay in the box. Why do you think people are saying that to us? Because we can't see the big picture. And if we work together, it's been proven throughout history that people working together is better than people working separately. It is a lot harder to build a house on your own than it is to build it with your neighbors. So don't hide who you are. Accept that people are different than you. Seek to understand. And make sure that you surround yourself with people that respect you and respect who you are. If they don't, it is more than okay to excuse yourself from the situation. It doesn't mean to disrespect them. It doesn't mean an eye for an eye. It doesn't mean to put them down. It means that if the people around you are asking you to hide who you are, they're not your people. Because this world should be proud of our differences, proud of what makes us who we are. And what I learned in elementary school a long time ago from my teachers is to look around the room, see how everybody looks a little bit different, sounds a little bit different, and comes from a different home. But you go give somebody a hug, and you learn something about them. And after 5 minutes, I want you to come to the front of the classroom, and I want you to tell me something special about the person that you talked to today. Wow. I learned in elementary school things that grown adults still don't get. Be who you are, be proud of who you are, share who you are. If you believe in God, believe in God. If you want to be an astronaut, be an astronaut. If you are an affectionate person that wears your heart on your sleeve, be proud of the fact that you have the courage to show your feelings. Because some people don't. Don't hide who you are. Because in the movie of life, if you don't play you, then nobody's playing you. And when those credits roll, do you want it to say Dan Tortora as himself or Dan Tortora as Bob Smith? I pray that you find the peace, the comfort, and the joy that God provides. Because when you seek to find yourself in the world, you will get lost. But I'm a firm believer that when you seek to find yourself in who created you, it is the only way that you'll truly ever be found. God bless you all. As always, we'll take a step aside for a fast break. Don't hide who you are. Be proud of who you are. And be open to learning about others and growing yourself. Because if you stop learning and you stop growing, you've stopped living. Be who you are and know that you will evolve over time. But if you keep the core of who you are, people that know you at 3 years old and know you at 37 will know the same person. And it's a very hard thing to do, but it's a very rewarding thing to do. To know who you are, celebrate who you are, and be proud of who you are. I thank you for listening to my views, my thoughts, and I'm open to listening to yours. I believe in God, and I am so proud of that. I am so proud that I believe in God, the Lord, Yahweh, my Savior, my King, my Spirit. And I welcome you to my dinner table to tell me what you believe in. Because I'm just a puzzle piece looking for other puzzle pieces to make a beautiful picture. We'll be back right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbeville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets life, and here with you on a Friday edition of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Always appreciate being here with you on the broadcast, and thank you so much for tuning in to the broadcast here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Make sure you get yourself out to Ma and Pa's today. Why? Because they have the best snacks. That's why. Because whether you are binging something on Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus or watching a movie on HBO Max or getting ready to watch the NCAA tournament for women's basketball tonight, Final Four, tomorrow for the men's Final Four, or you're going out to the Phin Phrenzy this weekend, you want a little snack to sit with in the bleachers, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory is your snack buddy. And they should be coming with you wherever you go. You can also get any one of their tins, any size of their tins, and it's half-price refills for the rest of your life if you buy a tin at Ma and Pa's. So head out there today. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. With that being said, we have spoken with Shawn Peake in a new edition of the Bobcat Buzz, the baseball head coach in the inaugural season of Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. The annoying moment of the week presented by Carvel DeWitt, which has jumped in to Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, with today's topic, Don't Hide Who You Are. And now we get into the top dog of the week, where I get to honor somebody in wherever. Could be here, could be anywhere. The top dog of the week. And my top dogs of the week this week, folks, are the people that are in my life that have shown up in such a special way, and I want to shout them out. On Monday, we had the opportunity to do something really special at Mother's Cupboard, which is just a few minutes from Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding of East Syracuse. And what we got to do is we got to have a special grand opening. We had a soft opening for the last few weeks here of my Cuse McMother sandwich that's exclusive to Mother's Cupboard on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. And so we had a soft open to it. We had the grand opening of it this past Monday. And this past Monday, I asked, some friends to come out. And Casey Brown, the head coach of the CBA Brothers football team, who has been a champion of many ways, he came out and sat with me. Rob Drummond, Syracuse legend, JD legend, NFL, CFL alum, multi-time champion, good friend of mine of over a decade. He came out. My mom came out. My dad came out. And the owner, Pete Green, he was there. And not only was he there, but he was wearing my Dan Tortora Broadcast Media sweatshirt with the logo that has the microphone and the headset. And then Zach Warner was out there too, who has been in my fantasy football leagues in Central New York since I started them over a decade ago. So what do I call my top dogs of the week? Because friends show up for you. They came out to the event on a Monday in the middle of the day. Everybody has work. Everybody's got something to do. They're just coming off the weekend. But my mom showed up. My dad showed up. Rob showed up. Casey showed up. Pete showed up. Zach showed up. And the staff was incredible. They were excited. Gave me a hug. They were there for the moment. We had a great time. It meant the world to me. I'm getting chills right now talking about it. I got my hair standing up, if you could see it. And my friend Isaac, who's been on the show here, Tortora and Alfred, Isaac couldn't make it because Isaac had something coming in for work that he had to be there for. So he sent me a nice message. And, my top dogs of the week continue on with Lorraine at Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, because she's always been so good to me, and she'll send me little notes, little kind note, little post-it notes asking me how I'm doing and what's going on, and we need to get together. So I appreciate that. I've done surprise birthday parties and events, and my grandmother, when she passed away, I don't believe that she would have wanted people to cry and be sad. I believe she would have wanted a celebration. So recently here, I had a celebration to honor her life and surprised my mom with it. And so, my Aunt Donna's here and, family and extended family. And little did I know, it's the last time I would have saw Manny, who has become a friend of my family. And, he was sick. And I thought when I saw him, he looked like skinnier and maybe he wasn't okay, and his wife Debbie, I think, had said some things and this and that. But, he passed away this week. And I went in my home to my back door because the last time I saw him, he was standing at the screen door, and I gave him a hug. And so I went and stood where I last saw him, and I gave him a hug, and I cried. And why am I bringing all this up for the top dog of the week? Because what I'm telling you folks is that friendship is important. And building relationships are important. My top dogs are the people that dropped everything to come support me on Monday. They're, you know, they're the people that have taken the time to take the time to be there. And I think it's really funny that I'm talking about this right now. And again, how I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in God incidences. Pete Green, the owner of Mother's Cupboard, just said this. Literally just wrote this to me this morning, 10:13 in the morning. He said, I thought you would like to know an update on the Cuse McMother. At least every other ticket has had one on the order. Every other ticket at Mother's Cupboard. Every other ticket. I'm just sending him back a message. That's amazing. Mother's Cupboard, one of the busiest restaurants in Syracuse, a staple of Syracuse, part of the fabric of Syracuse. And Amy's been pitching it too, and everybody loves it, so that's amazing. But think about that. I'm sitting here talking about the top dog of the week, and I start off with saying it's true friends and that show up and are there for you. And this Monday, we had the event for the Cuse McMother, and I just mentioned Pete Green and the team, and Pete texted me while I was saying it. And he said, I thought you would like to know an update on the Cuse McMother. At least every other ticket has had one on the order. At least every other ticket. Every other ticket. Do you know how busy Mother's Cupboard gets? That's crazy. It's crazy. But good people doing good things. That's what that is. Some people might say, Dan, it's just a sandwich. No, it's not. I grew up in this community. I grew up here. I grew up with these are my people. Central, upstate New York, Syracuse. This is my city. These are my people. Mother's Cupboard is a generational thing. With grandparents take their kid, it could be great grandparents to grandparents to, to parents to kids. And in a lot of cases, it's grandpa Jason Leone, grandparent, parent, him. And he could take his kids. Now I got 4 generations. It's a sandwich that I created because I love breakfast sandwiches, bacon, egg, and cheese. And I put French toast as the bread because if you know me, it's hard for me to choose if I want French toast or pancakes. Like that world, right? If I want something with the syrup on it, or if I want, my eggs and a little bit of meat. So I said, why not put it all together? Bacon, egg, cheese, French toast, make it a sandwich. You can eat it like a sandwich, or you can cut it up and put syrup on it and eat it that way. Cinnamon and sugar on top. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And Pete said, again, thank you, sir. And thank you for being genuinely you. I do appreciate everything you do. So, listen to the show today, folks. This is in real time. This is in real time that this is happening. I spoke in the annoying moment of the week about hypocrisy and led in to lead with being who you are and not being afraid to share who you are with the world. And then I thanked my top dogs, my friends that showed up for me this week and that couldn't show up and sent me love. John Abdo sent me a nice message. It's like Coach Hicks. The people that sent Jason Leone, the people that sent me love that were there, people that sent me love that couldn't be there. And I'm sitting here talking about the Cuse McMother and that event and the love that I felt this week from that event. And while I'm saying that, the owner of Mother's Cupboard sends me a message telling me that the Cuse McMother is doing fantastic, and thank you for all you do. I do appreciate who you are and how genuinely you are who you are and genuinely being you. And I just told you all to be who you are and be proud of that, because the people that matter are going to appreciate it. Everything in the show today, I don't even know how to describe, like, you're watching in real time everything that I said coming to reality, being true, and it's got nothing to do with me. This is God. Yeah, it's all God. When Pete texted me, I'm thinking, did he just hear me mention him in Mother's Cupboard? Because he texted me right after I said it. He's busy at work. I think he's going to find it very poetic and beautiful for me to say, hey, when you texted me, I was literally talking about you and about the event and what we got to do at Mother's Cupboard. So when you think that people don't hear your message, and you think that people don't care, and you think that what you do doesn't matter, it does, right? What you do and don't do can have a tremendous effect on people around you. Who you are is who you are. And not everybody's going to like who you are. Not everyone's going to appreciate who you are. And not everybody's going to value who you are. That's reality. That's reality. Not everybody is going to just appreciate you. But you need to be okay with that. You know? Because I deal with that all the time. I say to myself, you know, how come I'm nice to everybody, but not everybody's nice to me? How come I bend over backwards for everybody and some people treat it like, you know, like with all the people we've had on this show, 4,000 plus guests, there's coaches where I'm like, hey, I love what you're doing with your season. I'm really proud of you. Can we do an interview to support you? And they don't answer. And then you see them in public and they're rude. And you're sitting here going, I'm going to free advertise the great work that you're doing. I'm going to put a spotlight on your ego and your team. And you said no. And so, like, I want you to fully understand that you said no to a free advertisement that supports you, is positive towards you, builds your brand, and only helps you. I literally extended a hand out to the middle of the ocean and said, here, you can get on my boat. And they said, nah, I'd rather drown. And then you think to yourself, well, why would they not want to get in my boat? Have I done anything? Have I slapped them with the paddle? Have I thrown a flare at them in the water? Did I push them in the water in the first place? No. I'm literally a person paddling by in my boat, seeing somebody in need, puts my hand out and they say, no, I'd rather drown. Okay, well, that's your choice. That's your choice. So, you know, my top dogs of the week, they're the people that show up. Think about your top dogs of the week. My top dogs this week, my friends that showed up to Mother's Cupboard. My mom and dad that showed up to Mother's Cupboard, who are also my friends. My people who couldn't make it, but sent their love. My buddy Isaac, who we've talked all week long for hours at a time, and we just laugh and we have a good time, and he reminds me of who I am. We had a tough conversation yesterday about stuff going on in my life, and he was like, you know, he said, you're doing the right things, you're doing great, you're out there, you know, doing what you do. And then when I talked to him about people going like, oh, you're so successful and you did all this stuff at the NCAA tournament, he's like so successful. He's like, they're like, you're famous. He's like, famous. He said, you're just out there doing your job. You're out there doing you. You're doing what you love to do. And it's not about being famous. It's about being happy. It's about being proud. It's about being who you are. Proud of your work. Thankful for the fact that you get to do it. You know, he humbled me. He reminded me of who I was. And he was there for me. So I'm shouting them out as a top dog of the week. I shout out my grandparents. They're up in heaven, but I think about them, and I love them, and I try to hear them. And I really hope they speak to me today because I want to hear their messages. And, you know, I shout out Andrea, who's been a fantastic co-host with Two Mics, No Filter. And off the air, she's been so supportive of me and real with me and defending of me and wanting me to be happy and wanting good things for me and challenges me. And she's just been a wonderful addition to my life on and off the air. And, you know, so I got to shout her out. To Lily. You know, Lily has evolved as a dog. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and she's not that old, but it's like the older she gets, she continues to learn new things, and she's so sweet and she's so good. To my dad coming over and, you know, building a shelving unit and putting it in my garage and putting stuff on top of it so that I can clean up my garage, and I didn't ask him to do that. He wanted to do that. To, just so many beautiful things that I've received this week. Like, you can focus on the people that don't believe in your dreams and don't answer your text messages and don't answer your phone calls. Or you can realize it's their loss. Because if you lead with good intentions and a good heart and a clean heart, then it always is their loss. If you live with a clean heart and a good heart and good intentions, you have nothing to apologize for. And the people that really care about you and truly matter in your life are going to see it. I've had things happen to me this week that could make me negative and pessimistic with humanity. Then I get that message from Pete Green. And again, he has no idea the conversation we're having on the air right now because he's working. He's cooking at Mother's Cupboard. And he said, "Thank you, sir, and thank you for being genuinely you. I do appreciate everything you do." As a business person that seeks to work with businesses and help businesses grow and evolve and help the community together, that message tells me that I'm doing something right. And what would Isaac say to me? You don't need that message. You know you're doing something right. And to those people that don't appreciate it, let them go. And to the people that do, that's awesome and good for you. But you know what you're doing, and you know why you're doing it, right? Because a coach that doesn't answer my phone call, that is your loss. Because all I've ever sought to do is help people. And I've talked to coaches when they're 11-0 and 0-11, and I treat them the same way each time. We might go deeper and laugh more and have a happier conversation at 0-11 because I'm going to treat them like the beautiful, wonderful people they are no matter what it is. I don't judge people by wins and losses. I don't judge people by how much money they have. I don't judge people. I try to be there for everybody, and it's incredible to me how there are some people in society that will spit on the hand of a good person. And I guess what I've learned from that is to wipe off my hand, put soap on it, and to remember the people that spit on it so that I don't put my hand out to get spit on again. Because the first time I had no idea you're going to spit on my hand. But the second time I shouldn't be surprised if you do. So I will make every effort to help people. But I will not get to a point where I'm just banging my head against the wall. I think when people treat us poorly, we tend to focus on that and think like everybody hates us, nobody wants to date us, nobody wants to work with us, nobody wants to hire us, nobody wants to talk to us. And that's not the case. The reality is, when you're doing a lot of things good in this world, evil does try to find you, because evil doesn't like prospering goodness. So you have to remember, when life is good, the armies will come. And when life doesn't feel good, the armies will come. And in between, the armies will come. So even in your weakest moment, on your weakest day, you have to know who you are and surround yourself with good people. And I have surrounded myself with my top dogs of the week. Great businesses that have sent me beautiful messages this week that love and appreciate me. My parents who love and appreciate me. My friends who love and appreciate me. And people who didn't know how long the event was going to be or what we were going to do. And I didn't even tell them all to order the sandwich. Everybody that came ordered my sandwich. They broke bread with me. They ate with me. They prayed with me before we ate together. And they stayed there for over 2 hours just to be there and be supportive. So who are my top dogs of the week? The people that have given me their time, their energy, their hugs, their kisses, their love, their messages, their goodness. Those are my top dogs. And by the grace of God, I am surrounded by more than I can count. And I love y'all. We'll take a step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Top Dog of the Week, proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. No better place to bring your dog, in my opinion, and I put my money where my mouth is. So trust due that Lily loves Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding's ownership, their people, their team, their crew, and She has loved the experience of the individual cabins at the campground and the ability to play with other dogs and at the same time to have your own time by yourself. Dogs that want to be by themselves and just kind of hang out have the right to do that at Canine Campground, and the dogs that want to run around and play outside and be around the other dogs have the opportunity to do that as well. And at the daycare, if your dog's tiny and there's big dogs out there, they put the small dogs with the small dogs and they put the big dogs with the big dogs. So if you're worried about, oh my gosh, my dog's going to be lost in the shuffle of all these St. Bernards, no. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding isn't just a place to bring your dog. It's an extension of your family. It's people that genuinely care, love animals, and treat them as their own. And those are the only people that should be taking care of your dog. So a big shout out to the wonderful team led by Lorraine Perry at Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. Places that made me feel safe and secure when it comes to Lily. And they've done the same for so many people for such a long time, which is why you have to call them before they fill up. 315-437-7110 for the daycare. That's 315-437-7110. And for the campground dog boarding, 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013 for Canine Campground dog boarding. Make sure you get in touch with them today in East Syracuse. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. And shout out to all of your top dogs in your life. We'll take a step aside. We'll be back right after this with a very special bonus Dolphin Dive, diving into the story of the women's lacrosse team at Moyne on the Heights with their head coach, Liz Beville.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Salsa Q's, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets life. We are here inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin' as we continue today's broadcast, jam-packed with a ton of fantastic guests and segments that we get to do here, including our bonus Dolphin Dive. You know that we do our Dolphin Dives all throughout the month on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, every second and fourth Wednesday, opposite AD and DT. And, of course, we bring you our bonus Dolphin Dives as well throughout the year. And I'm very happy here on Friday to have the opportunity to do that with Liz Beville, the head coach of the Moyne Dolphins women's lacrosse team. They have a 6-2 start, coming off a victory, ranked in the top 10 in the nation, as they have been throughout the season, and a Phin Phrenzy event coming up tomorrow with the fans. It's going to be awesome. So with all of these positive things going on around the program, I wanted to have Liz on the show today to talk about it. Liz, how are you?
Doing great, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And Liz, I mean, first and foremost, coming off of, a recent victory here to improve to 6-2, just what you could say about the team's bounce back coming off of the loss.
So Pace definitely wasn't our best showing. I think Pace has an outstanding team this year, just as we do. They have several fifth years and seniors that are really leading their program. And unfortunately, that game just wasn't our day. Felt like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. But I think the team really responded against New Haven, another great team, ranked opponent in our conference. And they just got off the bus, is probably the best way I could describe it. We had a great lunch. We got to visit the beach a little bit, and it was a sunny, beautiful day. And I think we took full advantage of that. Obviously, in Syracuse, not always sunshine every single day. So that certainly seemed to help us quite a bit. But we've really been pushing my staff, the players, to have a faster start, not waiting until, the second or third quarter to get things going. And they absolutely did that on Wednesday. So really proud of them for the way that we did bounce back after a tough loss. We dialed into the things we needed to fix and just really focused on ourselves leading into New Haven, and we're able to walk away with a big win.
Yeah, and when you see that, they always say no matter what the sport is, don't let a loss beat you twice, and have that bounce back ability. Like you said, having veteran status and players that have grown within the program, how much does that weigh into how quickly a team can bounce back? Because when you have that experience and you've been through it multiple times where you've had to grow, learn, evolve, I feel like when you have that type of leadership and somebody that can tell you what it's like to go through it the wrong way and go through it the right way, that obviously is going to bring a lot to a team today in the here and now if they've already been through it before.
So we talk about that a lot, just in terms of what the lessons are that you learn from a loss. And I like what you said there, don't let a loss kind of beat you twice. And I think that we figured out the things we needed to fix immediately, and we were able to move forward. We have another loss on the season against Westchester, so same kind of ideas there. I think a lot of the same things were going wrong in both those games, which led us to a loss. And we've learned we've got to fix those, because you can't keep waiting until the end of the game. It's too late. So they responded really well. When you're talking about leadership, I think one of the big things was that New Haven beat us last year at home, and those upperclassmen remembered that. They remembered the feeling of being beat at home against a team that we should have beat them last year. They didn't want that to happen again. Again, we are ranked higher than New Haven, and so having that ability to say, we're not going to let this happen. This is a game that we should win, that we should take care of. I think the upperclassmen really kind of got the underclassmen to buy into that thought, and to just really dial in for that game day and to not let two losses happen in a row.
That coming from Moyne Dolphins women's lacrosse head coach Liz Beville. Liz, how rewarding is it for you when you see the leadership on this team, like you said, from last season with New Haven to this season, and that example and plenty others, I'm sure. But when you get to see leadership on the field, an extension of coaching, when that evolution happens for you, how rewarding has that been to watch that in real time?
I think it's one thing all coaches enjoy. We work so hard on things really off the field, or not just the X's and O's when it comes to leadership. It's having captains meetings and setting standards and expectations. And as coaches, again, we pretty much say the same things over and over again. But I think your leaders and your upperclassmen are the ones that find the ways to connect with the team, and they reiterate those expectations. And they've got to get on each other. And we've been really big about this year of getting 1% better, whether it's in practice, it's in a game, it's off the field, it's in a part-time job, get better every single day. And I think that we turned a corner this week with that. We really emphasized in practices playing every ground ball out, playing every clear out, so that we are truly making each other better. And the upperclassmen have bought into it. And again, it's something that you hope is going to happen, and you don't know. It's, they're either going to buy into what you're saying or they're not. And so I'm just really proud of the group that we have, and they've been tremendous leaders both on and off the field for us this year.
And in and out of conference, we have seen a ton of wins against the nation's top 25 as we look at, games against Mercy and Roberts Wesleyan, as well as Mercy Hurst. And then, like we were talking about, the University of New Haven. And so when you have all of that in and out of conference, not only good, strong teams that you're going to see in the NE10 or teams that you've seen, in other seasons before that you think have been worthy opponents, but when they are ranked high and they're respected by the country in and of itself, just what that looks like to you to have this team. I mean, we're 8 games in, and this team has been very much tested, and they've responded to that test with a 6-2 start.
Mm-hmm. Well, every year is going to be a battle. The NE10 is hands down the best conference in Division II. You looked, I think this week there were 8 or 9 of us teams in the top 25. So you have competition every single day. So I think that's a great thing to really emphasize at the beginning of the season. And we talked a lot about that as, hey, when we get into conference play, it's tough. It's not an easy road by any means. And you have to be ready every single day to show up and prove what you can do, and prove that you belong in that top category of the conference. When it comes to non-conference schedule, we went in to preseason just focused on those first 5 games. We played 5 non-conference games this year, all regional games, which matters at the end of the day for NCAA purposes. So that was a huge emphasis for us of reiterating the fact that we've got to do some work, and we've got to start the season on a strong note. I think, again, that 6-2 record speaks for itself. They have done a great job, and we have been tested, and you want to get tested early. You don't want to get tested in May and it be the last time that you're able to play. So for us, the way the schedule worked out this year, I think it was competitive. It was got us going and moving in the right direction early. And it just shows, again, you got to show up and be ready to compete every day, because everybody can be good. And when you are in the top 10 scenario and situation, everybody is going to give you their best game. And so I think the girls have, again, responded really well to how the schedule was set up, the things we've been emphasizing, and they love to compete. And that's a big reason why they came to Lemoyne, and they're showing that right now.
So for you personally, Liz, from the coach's chair, where do you feel like you've been tested the most at this point this season?
Good question. I mean, I think every season gives you something different, something unique, whether it's good things, bad things that are going on. I think our big challenge this year has been the fact that we have so many upperclassmen and then a big freshman class, and trying to find that balance and dynamic that works to keep things competitive in practice and in games. We're fortunate right now. Our captains are all starters, and our upperclassmen are all getting a lot of playing time. The freshmen are starting to kind of peek their heads in lineups and getting some time, but trying to make sure that as we're preparing for games, that those freshmen or underclassmen or people that aren't playing are taking it just as seriously as our upperclassmen and the girls that are getting in that starting lineup right now. I think that's definitely just been a challenge for us. I think with females, sometimes you get some of the jealousy thing that goes on, but again, over spring break, I think we grew a lot as a team. We had more trust. We formed better relationships. The chemistry just seems to be a lot better since we've returned home from that trip, and I think we're moving in a positive direction.
That coming here on Wake Up Call and a very special Dolphin Dive with Liz Beville, the Lemoyne Dolphins women's lacrosse head coach. Coming up this weekend, tomorrow, Saturday, April 1st, we have a Phin Phrenzy Fan Event, which is all encompassing of this doubleheader that we're going to see with women's and men's lacrosse on the Heights. The women's game will start off at 11 o'clock, the men's game at approximately 2 p.m. Just what you think about this Phin Phrenzy and the fact that there is an emphasis on this doubleheader, an emphasis on making it bigger than simply a game. I mean, you and I have talked about before that the women's lacrosse fans show up, and they show up rain or shine, cold or hot, whatever's going on. So when you take on top of that and you make it a fan event and a community event, just what it means to you to be in the spotlight this weekend on the Heights.
I think anytime that you're promoting game and a team, it brings a lot of energy. There's more excitement kind of on that game day feeling. As I was actually pulling into practice this morning, some of our men's basketball players were heading out. They had an early morning workout even before us, and they're in the parking lot. Coach, big game tomorrow, Phin Phrenzy. I'm like, yep, we'll see, see you there, right? They're like, yeah, we're ready to go. We'll be out there ready at 10 a.m. A little bit early. They might be hanging out with the parents in that parking lot. So I think it just brings a lot of excitement. It's been fun for the winter and fall. We've had a couple different Phin Phrenzy events on campus, and I think those went really well. And there was just a little bit more excitement, again, for that game day vibe, I would call it. Makes it fun for our players to kind of be putting on a show, as you could say, and knowing that maybe that fan base is going to be increased for the day, and people are eyes are on them, and we want to produce a good game for them and a win, obviously. So just think it's a cool day to have. Promotes a game, promotes a team, and gets the community and fans involved a little bit more.
And we also know that, in this season in and of itself, there's more history to celebrate overall with the women's lacrosse program. So just knowing that these aren't just games, there's in the background an appreciation, a spotlight on this program, this team, and its history. So what that means to you, being a part of it, being a part of the history, and being one of the coaches as we celebrate women's lacrosse on the Heights in a bigger manner than simply just the 2023 season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in a couple weeks, we'll have our 30th season celebration against Adelphi, great opponent, so it'll be a great game. But I think just overall, we haven't pushed it too much to the players yet. That'll be in a couple weeks. But for me, it's something I have been thinking a lot about as the season has progressed. And, when you talk about the fact that this has only really been a program for 30 years, that seems new. To me, it's, I'm 30 years old. So the program is really not that old at the end of the day. And then when you get to reflect and say, hey, I get to be part of this, and I'm part of the history books that are going to be continued to be written and moving forward. It's a pretty cool feeling. And again, I just have a lot of pride for the school and this program, and feel fortunate to be able to lead this team. And again, I think it's something as players, they don't totally understand quite yet what they're doing and how they're impacting, not only, the past players, but the future players of this program. But it'll be really fun in a couple weeks, I think, to have the team dial into that reflection a little bit more and just really play for something special.
And you said before I let you go, quick here with Liz Beville, the women's lacrosse head coach for the Moyne Dolphins, getting ready for the Phin Phrenzy this weekend and what's coming up in a couple weeks as we celebrate 30 years. You just said it, 30-year-old program, you're 30 years old. So for as long as you've been alive, there's been a women's lacrosse program at Le Moyne. So for you, like you said, that personal connection from your birth year to where we sit right now and you being the head coach, this is truly a 30 for 30. And I would love to, go a little bit deeper into that you are leading a program at the helm of a program that came to be when you came to be, which is a really remarkable thing that I don't know if many coaches, if any coach, can say something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. again, it's not my main focus, obviously, of the season, but I've just been very fortunate in my coaching career to have landed some great jobs at great universities, and having gone to high school at JD just a couple miles down the road, and having my family still in the Syracuse area, it's just it all comes full circle, right? That's kind of how it works, and I'm very fortunate that I'm in a place where I've been able to land a head coaching job at my age and have been successful. But it's pretty neat, and again, I think it just shows you where the sport is going, though. Like, that's I think what I really reflect back on is the fact that we are a young program, but we're young, and that's exciting to me because there's so much that lies ahead for this Moyne women's lacrosse program and team.
And you said that, with that in the background, it's something you think about. It's not the main focus. I know that the 2023 season is your focus here. I know what you want and what you're going after, and that's pretty clear of what this team wants and talking with you over the last couple of years. Where is this team right now in its maturation process as a final note here today in the hopes of what you're working to attain? How close is this team getting to your expectations and your hopes that you had going in?
Every day we get a little bit better, and we're certainly, our goals haven't changed, and we're working toward chasing championships here. I think we've been battle tested, which has been fantastic for us. Obviously, had a big bounce back win, and it showed what we are capable of doing. So I'm very excited for what's to come moving forward in the month of April. Again, you talk about big games, and we've just got players that have to start showing up in those big games and big moments. But I think we're right where we need to be right now. I kind of hit on this earlier. You don't want to peak at the wrong time. And so we're on this steady incline. We're getting 1% better every game that we play. We're learning from our mistakes and the losses that we do have. And I think there's just big opportunities that lie ahead for us if we keep progressing how we should be right now. I think the future is pretty bright for us this season.
Coming from Liz Beville in this edition of the Dolphin Dive, women's lacrosse head coach on the Heights at Lemoyne. We will see you this Saturday, April 1st at 11 a.m. against St. Michael's. Liz, as always, I appreciate you taking some time. Love what you're doing for the program and here in this community. So a fins up to you, and I'll see you in the morning.
Thanks so much, Dan. Go Fins.
All right, take care.
Bye.
See you. Coming from Liz Beville once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. So very excited about all that is to come here on today's broadcast, and Bob Holliday is going to be joining us here on the broadcast as well. So very much looking forward to the opportunity to see everything on the Heights tomorrow. I am somebody who loves going out to the games and seeing the teams and being around the teams. So I hope by the grace of God that weather permits, that it's nice, that it's sunny, that it's that it's dry, and that we're not having snow or rain or anything like that, so that we can truly take in this game. And I know the fans are going to show up no matter what, because the fans are awesome when it comes to these lacrosse teams. But I really look forward to the fact that hopefully the weather will be permitting and we'll be able to have a good time out there with it. And with that being said, I am always honored to have this gentleman on the broadcast with me, a contributor at WRALSportsFan.com, and somebody who has been in the business for many, many years now, doing a fantastic job covering the ACC for, I think it's, if it's not 5 decades, it's close. So a big appreciation for Bob Holliday, who is here with me this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, fresh off of putting out an article that really dives into something that him and I have been talking about a lot off the air, and that I've been talking a lot on the air with all of you about around the country and the world, and that is the incomprehensible, unfair, and clear disrespect for the ACC when it comes to the NCAA tournament, be it the teams getting in and the seeding as well. So with that being said, I proudly bring on a friend, Bob Holliday, to give his thoughts this morning on Wake Up Call. Bob, how are you?
Dan, I'm doing great. Great to be with you.
Happy to be with you too. And Bob, you're coming off of writing this article and really researching and breaking it all down. So I'd love to just leave this as give you the paintbrush and have you come up to the canvas and paint the picture of what you wrote about and what you keyed in on in your story that you feel like is imperative for people to know about the ACC?
Well, first of all, the committee did get it right in 2021. Okay. They actually probably were overly generous with the ACC that year. They handed out 7 bids. The ACC in the pandemic season did not have a great year. 5 of those 7 lost in the first round. 2, Florida State and Syracuse continue the ACC's long tradition that dates all the way back to Black Sunday in 1980 of sending at least one team to the Sweet 16. But in 2022 and 2023, the committee mysteriously fell off the ACC wagon. And it wasn't intentional, but at the same time, I think there's too much focus on analytics and not enough about common sense. The ACC only got 5 bids in 2022, and they were all high bids, except for Duke was the number 2 seed. But Carolina was 8, Miami was 10, and Virginia Tech was 11, and Notre Dame was 11. And yet, with seeds of 2, 8, 10, 11, and 11, the ACC fashioned a record of 14 and 5 in the NCAA tournament, far better than any other conference, and sent Miami to the Elite 8, UNC and Duke, of course, to the Final Four, and UNC to the championship game. So that was bad enough. But then the committee doubled down, it seems like, in 2023, and we're seeing the same thing all over again. Very low seeds, not enough teams in. And, to be honest, the ACC has not, aside from Miami, had a great tournament. Duke missed a key player in Mark Mitchell and ran into bully ball against Tennessee, which they really weren't prepared for, and they suffered an unexpected loss. Virginia suffered an unexpected loss when veteran Kihei Clark, the most decorated in terms of games played in ACC history, panicked in a double team and flung the ball back over his head, thinking that would end the game. And of course, Furman stole the ball and made a 3-pointer and won. Yeah. So those are 2 things that we didn't see that made the ACC's performance in this tournament worse. But you got to point out Pitt. Pitt barely got in, and yet knocked off Mississippi State from the SEC and blew out Iowa State from the mighty Big 12. So it hasn't all been Miami. It's mostly been Miami, but Miami's been fantastic. And so for the second straight year, the committee's vision for the ACC in the tournament did not come to pass. In fact, the committee's vision for the entire tournament has not come to pass. I think parity certainly has something to do with that, but I think once again, there's just too much emphasis on the wrong things. November games count as much as the major conference rivalries in February. I can't see that in this day of player mobility. Kevin Keats had to rebuild his entire roster this year, or 2/3 of it anyway. Duke also had a major roster rebuild, and then 2 of their key freshman players got hurt. So the difference between the Duke team of November and the Duke team of February was striking. Meanwhile, you had teams like Michigan and Ohio State who were they were great in November, but they were not in the tournament by February, and yet they contributed to the boosting of the Big Ten. I think the main thing, this NET, really gets me fired up. The ACC beat the Big Ten in the challenge 8-6, and that happened a week before the first NET rankings came out. And yet, the Big Ten, 13 of their 14 teams were in the top 81, and 4 in the top 25. The ACC had 2 in the top 25 and 6 in the top 81. And a lot of the ACC teams were over 100. Florida State was over 200, and Louisville, of course, was like 360. When you get to January, it's all conference games, and if half the teams that you're playing, have low rankings, you really can't move up. Meanwhile, in the mighty Big Ten, because 13 of 14 are in the top 81, when there would be upsets, what a league! They're beating each other up. So I think we need some changes.
Yeah, and Bob, you're painting a picture this morning, like I said, with that paintbrush and that open canvas. I do want to remind people here, the ACC has 18 national championships, 34 appearances, in the championship game, 67 trips to the Final Four, 113 Elite Eights, 179 Sweet 16 appearances, and like you said, including a run of at least one team to the Sweet 16 in every tournament since 1980. So that coming from Bob's article as well, and I appreciate the research. You know, when you look at, like you said, and when I spoke with Jim Larinaga about it, you know, he echoed these sentiments when we were talking about this, and it's gone viral with a lot of people out there hearing him and the disrespect of the ACC. So I appreciate that people are watching it, because I asked him the question for the sheer purpose of putting a spotlight on the fact that I felt like this was wrong, and I'm happy that Jim Larinaga, you know, gave the answer that he gave, and I'm happy that people are actually paying attention to the answer that he gave, because, you know, he spoke about the fact that he said, you know, Houston's considered one of the best rebounding teams. He's like, you know, they could be like, what, you know, fourth or whatever. He said, we're probably 400th, but we hung with them. So he said, you know, you can have these metrics, but people don't know how to read them correctly. And, you know, to go to Miami and to focus on Miami here for a second, in the NET rankings right now, Miami is 35th. Now they're in the Final Four, but they're considered the 35th when it comes to NET in the country. 5-5 against Quad 1, 6-0 against Quad 2, 7-1 Quad 3, 7-1 Quad 4. But just to put it into perspective, Miami being 35th in these NET rankings, and yet here they are in the Final Four. And if you want to continue to look at these NETs and how they genuinely don't make a whole lot of sense, as you go down the line and try to decipher what is the value of the NET ranking and what does it matter in the grand scheme of things, and how these teams really have to win their conference tournament or they're not even going to get in a lot of cases, you have to go really far down this list to find teams that have made it really far in this tournament, which to me is beyond ridiculous. And again, you know, to your point, to Jim Larinaga's point, to say, you know, you can have your metrics, but you have to know how to read these metrics to really understand what's going on here. And I'm kind of thrown for a loop that this is what we care about so much. And there's something to be said about this, Bob, and I want to get your thoughts on it. As I broke down the field of 68, every season I go through the tournament, I break down the field of 68 once they're announced, and I give information on every single team. So if you watch the show, you know something about everybody around the country, no matter who they are, what conference they play in, whatever it may be. And as I had the conversation about all of these schools and broke it down, I looked at some conferences and I said the committee must have had such a figure as what is called a quality loss. And what I think is ridiculous about a quality loss is that not every conference gets a quality loss, but in the Big Ten, especially as I broke down these teams, I said they must have had a metric that, whether they admit it or not, was called a quality loss, where if you played a ranked team, especially on the road, and you lost to them by single digits or whatever it may be, that there was some type of positive put in your feather cap for that, which I don't understand. So I wanted to get your take on that too, because as I broke down the field of 68, I couldn't help but see that unless a quality loss was a metric that the committee used, I don't understand how some teams got in with 13 losses.
Yeah, there's nothing in the official description of what the committee does that I found that's called a quality loss. But there's a partiality to the conferences that are perceived as the best.
Yeah,
you can just see. I mean, and part of the issue is that I think the media plays a part. Instead of being skeptical, they just pound the drum. You know, Joe Lunardi is like, he's an extension of the committee. And so, everybody's talking about how well, the Big Ten is strong. You know, the Big 12 may be the best of all. And the drumbeat continues all winter long, and then everybody starts believing. And here's another thing that is really frustrating. A quality win in November might not still be a quality win in January.
Yeah.
UNC beat Ohio State. They were nationally ranked at the time. It was a quality one win. But then their season tanked, and by January it was no longer a quality one win. And in fact, UNC's one quality one win, and this was something that really I think kept them out of the tournament. Their one quality win against Virginia almost went away because Virginia had a couple late losses and fell from like 18 in the rankings all the way down to 27. Had they fallen to 31, that would not have been a quality one win either. Pitt really, I think, got a raw deal. Pitt was really penalized for losing to Michigan, which was then nationally ranked. They lost at the Pete by 31 points. And I think that was a major reason why Pittsburgh was ranked number 80 in the original NET. Interestingly, Pitt clobbered Northwestern on the road, which is that's the ultimate. According to the committee's rules, that's the ultimate achievement, is to beat a good team at their place. They beat them by 28 points, and that happened before the first rankings came out, and it really didn't seem to move the needle. And then, the Michigan loss then haunted them in January and February because Michigan also, lost a lot of games and I think fell to like 60 in the NET. And, to me, that's just really kind of bizarre. If it's a good win in November, it should be a good win, period. But again, I think November is overrated because teams are still getting to know one another. November should not count as much as February.
No, it shouldn't. And the interesting thing about these NET rankings too, as I look at them and last updated on March 12th, Miami is below FAU, San Diego State. I mean, just seeing this, Florida Atlantic was considered 13th. They are 2-1 against a quad 1, 4-2 against quad 2, 11-0 against quad 3, and 12-0 against quad 4. In this, San Diego State was 5-5 against quad 1, same record as Miami, but ranked 21 spots higher than Miami when you go back and look at this. So, I mean, I'm baffled by these numbers, and I mean, if it paints the picture for you all, folks, that's what it looks like. Miami 35th, Florida Atlantic in the top 13, San Diego State in the top 14, and the ACC far below that in a way that doesn't make any sense. I mean, Bob, I just, for the life of me, I don't see how Miami could be below a Florida Atlantic or below, a San Diego State, and yet here they are on this list. Almost all the way down this list here, when you look at the top teams that are within this, the teams that made it, UConn was 8th, and they were 7-6 against quad 1. Once again, Miami was 5-5. Quad 2, 6-1. Quad 3, 4-1. Quad 4, 8-0. So even when you look at the metrics and the numbers from quad 1 to quad 4, it makes no sense to have 3 of the final 4 teams in the top 14 and Miami at 35th.
Well, the NET did get it right for Florida Atlantic and San Diego, but interestingly, the committee didn't believe the NET because neither one of them was a top 4 seed.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting message. But yeah, all you can say about Miami's low ranking is total disrespect for the ACC. They feel like Miami achieved what it achieved against weak conference competition, and to the contrary. Miami, both Jim Larinaga and players, have said that the ACC is very good top to bottom. And in fact, Isaiah Long said that he thanked the ACC after the win over Texas for preparing Miami for close games. 7 Miami wins were by 4 points or fewer. That's pretty extraordinary. Miami did not breeze through the ACC. Miami lost to 5 different teams.
Yeah.
And then they lost to Duke in the ACC tournament semifinals, a game, you saw that game, Dan, live as I did. And to me, that felt like a Final Four semifinal. It was an extraordinary game.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, you can't have any other conclusion but committee disrespect for the ACC with what's come out really these past 2 seasons. And I didn't note earlier that the ACC's history is great, and the league is fortunate to have Jim Larinaga on center stage now because he grew up an ACC fan. He grew up in New York, and his coach at Archbishop Malloy, Jack Curran, played for Frank McGuire. So he followed ACC basketball as a kid, and of course, he was an assistant at Virginia under Terry Holland. And so anyway, he's followed this league for a long time. He knows how good it is, and he is telling the world how good it is. Yeah. He also noted in the response to your question, Dan, he also noted that he got an email from the commissioner, Jim Phillips, that this is going to be addressed in the spring meetings. Yeah. Of course, we have to say UNC Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham was on this year's committee, and so perhaps he can share some insight as to how the ACC can better connect with the committee to tell their story, because what's happening has certainly been unfair.
Yeah,
but anyway, history does not play any part in the committee evaluation, and I think that's a mistake. I think it's a mistake to overlook the fact that the Big Ten always gets a ton of bids and rarely makes the Final Four. Just like I think it's a mistake to overlook the ACC, which always gets to the Sweet 16 at least. So, but nope, history played. Not even last year, not even the previous year it's a blank slate when they sit down. And that's why I think we need less of analytics, which actually the analytics ignore the passion and the emotion, which are a big part of tournament basketball in February. The analytics completely take that out of the equation, and I think that's part of why we're sitting where we are.
Well, yeah, and what I find here with Bob Holliday, once again, WRALSportsFan.com, a contributor there, a longtime sports writer and sports mind, and you can go and check out his story on WRALSportsFan.com that we're having this conversation in connection with right now. And you brought it up. I was going to say it, that Jim Larinaga had said in response to my question that the commissioner reached out to him personally by email, Jim Phillips of the ACC, and said, I'm going to address this. And, you talk about how, history doesn't play a role. And I would disagree in the sense of it plays a role for some. It plays a role when it comes to certain conferences, but not other conferences. And what's sad about it, and I would say this about any conference, this is not an attack on the Big Ten. This is me talking about the conference that's getting an unfair advantage every single year before they play a game, and it just so happens to be the Big Ten. If it was the ACC or was somebody else, I would have the same conversation, because it's not just in the NCAA tournament, it's also in the college football playoff. The Big Ten has this automatic somebody's getting in, and they're ranked that way preseason. They're put that way where they can't drop that far. They're given quality losses. They're given wins. I mean, I remember that Michigan State lost to Purdue a couple of years ago in college football, and Purdue wasn't ranked. And the next week, they put Purdue in the rankings from they weren't ranked in the top 25 to they brought them into the top 15 to make it look like or top 20 to make it look like a quality loss. And then the next week, they dropped Purdue from the rankings. But it was almost like a reason to keep Michigan State in the top 10. And so when you already have a preconceived notion of who you want in, you're not going to be able to jump over that. What I don't get, Bob, is why the ACC has fallen out of favor with the NCAA selection committee. You and I are not in those meetings, so we can't speak to exactly why. But I never thought that there would be a day where the ACC would be treated like the CAA or Conference USA or the Big South or the Big West or the Mountain West. I mean, if you look at it, the Mountain West and the ACC had almost the same amount of teams that were brought in. And it's no disrespect to the Mountain West. I just don't know how, with an autonomy group that typically gets an unfair advantage as a whole, the ACC somehow in the last 2 years fell out of favor. And Jim Boeheim brought up a great point that you brought up in your article. The ACC was 14-5 in the NCAA tournament last year for men's Division I when we're talking about the 2021-2022 season. They were 14-5, and the Big Ten went nowhere. And here we are again, and the Big Ten has gone nowhere. Most of the Big Ten's teams were out before they even had a lick of a hope of a chance of the Final Four. So I guess what doesn't make sense to me is if you want to let 8 or 9 teams in from the 14-team Big Ten, and you're not letting any of these other teams in, you're wasting spots because they're not proving themselves. But yet again, here is the ACC with a lower probability, a lower opportunity, and a lower chance, and they're making it. And they did it last year, a 14-5 record with less teams. So, I know that we can't fully answer the question because we're not on the committee, but do you have any thought as to how the ACC went from being one of the darlings of college basketball to now being a conference that the committee kind of balks at all season long?
Well, it certainly wasn't that way through 2019.
Yeah.
It's a change that has occurred since the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it began with that pandemic season. It may be that because the ACC so underperformed in 2021 that was in the back of certain committee members' minds. I don't know. But essentially, you bring up football. I think what's happened with the basketball process is they're trying to model the football process. Every game, the first game counts as much as the last game. All the analytics, the rankings come out. Basketball's just different. It is. You need a different process for basketball than you need for football. And so here's another thing that didn't get considered. I say that too much emphasis on early games. Boston College had a very low, net rating in December. Why? Well, their star center Quentin Post was out with an injury.
Yeah.
Well, he comes back in January. Now all of a sudden, Boston College is pretty formidable. I mean, they nearly caught Syracuse for the number 9 seed. There were a lot of there were some good ACC teams that lost to Boston College, and because of their early ranking in the high hundreds, it's a really bad loss, and it's not fair because Boston College is now a really good team with all their players. So there are just all kinds of those kinds of things that I don't think get looked at.
No, and the thing is, if Ohio State plays Michigan in college football and they lose to each other, they've both been preseason ranked in the top 10, so that's considered a good loss, and it's not counted against them no matter when it happens in the season. But, we knew that if Wake Forest went undefeated, they weren't going to be in the college football playoff. NC State's not going to be in the college football playoff because that's not what the committee wanted. And I feel like in a strange way, and I know we're talking about basketball, but to go to football for a second, I feel like the committee has kind of said without saying to the ACC, if Clemson's not your darling, you're not getting in, which I think is great for Clemson, but not for Florida State, NC State, Wake Forest, Miami, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I'm counting the months until expansion of the playoffs. It's sorely needed for sure.
So that coming from Bob Holliday, WRALSportsFan.com, a contributor there. And once again, the ACC disrespected for 2 years now in a row in the NCAA tournament, and once again advancing to the Final Four, if not the potential championship game. A final note here, Bob, being a part of this league for as long as you've had, Jim Larrañaga, for everything that he's done, and to have this incredible history. And I always say I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in God incidences, because how does this man on March 26, 17 years ago, bring George Mason to their first Final Four, and 17 years to the day later bring Miami to their first Final Four? If he wins, he'll be the oldest coach to win a championship at 73 years old for an NCAA Division I men's basketball. What has Jim Larrañaga meant to Miami, the ACC, and college basketball, in your opinion?
Jim Larrañaga, I think, is one of the great figures of the game. I do have to tell one story that perhaps a lot of a lot of people in the audience don't know. That when he was an assistant at Virginia, he played a very key part in NC State's run to the national championship. NC State and Virginia were playing a very tight game for the ACC championship, and there was a charge block situation involving Othell Wilson. I can't remember if he was trying to take a charge and didn't get it, or if he was called for a block when it looked like a charge. But anyway, Jim Larrañaga hopped up off the bench. He was Terry Holland's assistant. He hopped off the bench and protested, and Hank Nichols slapped him with a technical foul. That technical foul was a key factor in NC State's winning that game. And if NC State doesn't win the ACC championship, they probably don't get in the NCAA tournament, and the magical run never takes place. I actually asked Hank Nichols the next week, didn't you think about time and place for that situation, that technical play? And said, no, it was clear cut. Never a doubt in his mind. But anyway, and Jim has had, a good sense of humor. He has a great sense of humor. That's one of the things I really, really like about him. Has a great sense of humor about, he's talked about how, he owes Virginia a game because he gave, he cost him that victory. But through the years, he talks, when he was at Duke, he saw Bucky Waters and remembered that Bucky's stepping down as basketball coach at Duke created his opportunity to get into coaching, because the coach that Duke hired I'll think of his name here in a moment. He was Neil McGahey. Neil McGahey was an assistant at Davidson, and Neil took the job, replaced Bucky Waters at Duke, and Jim Larinaga then got his big break in coaching as an assistant at Davidson, and he's never forgotten that. And he thanked Bucky Waters for making that possible for him. But yeah, what he did at George Mason is just off the charts. I mean, and that now when you see a Florida Atlantic or a San Diego State get to the Final Four, it's not that uncommon. But in 2006, nobody that was a mid-major, nobody ever got to the Final Four. So that was an extraordinary accomplishment. I love his sense of humor. And he explains basketball very well. Anyway, I think he's just, he clearly his players love him. I think that's the ultimate compliment for any coach is, do your players play hard for you? And clearly they do. So, guy's a Hall of Famer, and somebody that will go down in the record books as one of the great coaches in college basketball history.
Yeah, he's been fantastic, and I'm excited to see him this weekend and get to see, this team in general. They've been wonderful, and their road has been great. And like you said, the fact that they enjoy their coach and their coach enjoys them, and I hope he continues to coach for a long time. And, I do. I love seeing Jim Larinaga. I love what he's done to energize this conference and what he's done to build Miami up. So it's been a beautiful story. It's been a beautiful road. And I appreciate the fact that, you've been willing to put out the factual evidence, because people's opinions, people's thoughts, and what people want should have nothing to do with the committee. What it should be is what teams are doing. And, just like last year into this year, the ACC from top to bottom beats each other, not because teams are terrible and not because they're not good, but because the conference is that good. And I think last year, even more than this year, the conference was beating the heck out of each other because there wasn't much difference top to bottom. And there were so many teams that were losing games that the committee maybe didn't like. But that's exactly what the Big Ten's getting right now. You have 13 losses, 11 losses as a Big Ten school. They say, well, your conference is really hard. But that hasn't been proven. The ACC, beaten and bruised, gets a few teams in and a lot less than the Big Ten, and they're better than the rest of the country. Because maybe Virginia losing to a Boston College, games like that are, these, like you said, Miami losing the games that they lost. These battle-tested teams in the ACC are proving better nationally than the Big Ten teams that are quote-unquote battle-tested as well. So I think if the ACC's shown anything, it's that the competition within their conference has been more brutal than the competition out of their conference. And that is something the committee needs to take into account as we move forward.
Yeah, Ohio State is, 16-19, and they're number 52 in the NET. Ahead of multiple ACC teams. I think in the final analysis, UNC should have gotten in. Close call, but they should have gotten in. And I think Clemson should have gotten in. It certainly is hard to explain how NC State, which lost to Clemson 3 times, got in.
Yeah.
And Clemson didn't. Although I do say, NC State had a better overall season. And I think that was the deciding factor. But, I think the ACC should have gotten 7 teams in. And, it's just look at the rankings, and the disrespect is all over them. So Here we are.
And I think too, Bob, to go off of that, when you said that, I made the same argument, Clemson over NC State, and I think the argument that somebody would have for NC State is that they were ranked and Clemson wasn't. So people had this preconceived notion that NC State was so much better because they were in the top 25 when Clemson was leading the ACC for multiple weeks and they weren't ranked. And there was that weird time period where Clemson was 1, Pittsburgh was 2 in the ACC. Neither of them were ranked, and the 3 teams below them, Miami, Virginia, and NC State, were all considered top 25 worthy. So that showed you the disrespect. I would argue that FAU wouldn't even have made the tournament this year because if they didn't win the conference tournament, because it didn't matter to the committee what they had done. And in case in point, North Texas and UAB played for the NIT championship last night. North Texas won in a 7-point game that went back and forth. Was a great game. If people missed it, go back and watch it. Neither one of those teams were given a look, and they both came from the same conference, and UAB beat FAU during the season. And they both had some good out-of-conference wins, and UAB had a bunch of out-of-conference wins against the SEC and the like. So, just notes for the future. for people to pay attention to, because the ACC is not the only team being disrespected. But Bob, as always, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your research and your passion for it, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Always great to talk with you, Dan. Have a good weekend.
All right, take care. That coming from Bob Holliday here on WRALSportsFan.com, a contributor there on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. So we will take our final step aside on the broadcast. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show and bid you adieu as we get you ready for the women's and men's Final Four, the Phin Phrenzy, and Bryant Stratton baseball. There's a lot of stuff going on here in Central and Upstate New York, on site, on location, and on the television. So you got a jam-packed weekend. It starts today, and I hope you're ready. We'll be back right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicoli's.com. That's myaviccollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Kampground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and Kampground spelled with a K.com. K9Kampground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Kampground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and so happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Appreciate you so very much for being with us on all of our outlets, youtube.com, facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, facebook.com /LiveNowDT, and wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, they jump into the archives, and you will find them on many different outlets: Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure you do that on any one of these channels. Click subscribe and stick with us through all of these wonderful networks of sharing our show and sharing positivity and laughs and great conversations with over 4,000 guests spanning over 1,000 episodes. So don't miss it. Download Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of these outlets. And a big thanks to all of our incredible partners: Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicoli's, PB&J's Lunchbox, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Witty Wicks, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Pizza Man, Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Great Lakes Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, where we have the Cuse McMother selling like crazy, selling like a mother. So I appreciate the Cuse McMother and everybody going out and loving my spin on the breakfast sandwich in one of the staples of our community in Syracuse, New York. Much love to Pete Green, to Amy, and the entire team at Mother's Cupboard. I appreciate you, and I thank you for the honor of allowing me to put my own sandwich on your menu and to create it and to put my board up on location, on site at 3709 James Street in Syracuse. I love and appreciate you all for letting me make history with you in a way that is so special to me, my family that's up in heaven. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your love and support and your belief in what I do and how I do it and why I do it. I love and appreciate you so much for that. 317 at Montgomery. I call it the 5-star Michelin restaurant right here in our backyard. You got to go to downtown Syracuse and try 317 at Montgomery Street. Everything I've had has been fantastic. I have so many favorites there, and you need to get there and try their food. It is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So many different things. that have been, from their sandwiches to their main dishes to their appetizers, I haven't had something that I didn't like. And I would implore you to get out there and go to 317 at Montgomery today. But make sure you call for a reservation, folks. They do get busy, especially on a Friday night. So if you want to go out there tonight, I can tell you right now that to make that phone call is 315-214-4267 for 317 at Montgomery Street. 315-214-4267. We're also proud to be the exclusive and a big thanks to Pizza Man. If I didn't say Pizza Man already, I think I did, but if I didn't, shout out to Pizza Man and much love to their incredible team as well. Love everything from the Delias, and we have had one of our best bondings of any partnership out in Baldwinsville with the Bees and with Pizza Man and the wonderful, wonderful staff there. We are so proud to be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Moyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Every Wednesday at 9 a.m. we bring you the Dolphin Dive, or Dolphin Time, I should say. And every first and third Wednesday of each month, Dolphin Time is AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, a.k.a. DT, bringing you an inside look at the athletic program and the heights through the eyes of the athletic department and athletic director Bob Beretta. Every second and fourth Wednesday, we bring you the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes as well as coaches, future Dolphins, alumni, and administration. And we love bringing you that as well, including today and bringing you our special feature with the lacrosse team and Liz Beville, their head coach for women's lacrosse. So a lot of great things here with the Dolphins. If you want to see our playback of the shows, which why wouldn't you want to live in history and support your local community and beyond, to all of our Dolphin alumni, our future Dolphins, and our current Dolphins, you could find all of the content with Lemoyne on the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com, a website within a website on our website of wakeupcalldt.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to get all of our Dolphin content at youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And for more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. The Bryant Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are also exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. The Bobcat Buzz comes to you every single month with unprecedented coverage of the Bobcats, more than you've ever had, and consistent coverage throughout the year with men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, and their inaugural baseball team. Get all the content with the Bobcats, including today's conversation with Shawn Peake, by going to the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com, which continues to update throughout the year, and you can see all of our fantastic shows with the Bobcats right now on their website within our website. Go to wakeupcalldt.com and click on BSC Syracuse, and you can also find our Bobcat Buzz content by subscribing to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank my wonderful guest today, Shawn Peake, Bryant Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, head coach of the inaugural baseball team and season. Shawn Peake, awesome stuff. Annoying Moment of the Week presented by Carvel DeWitt. Lead focusing this week on don't hide who you are. Be proud of who you are. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay bringing you Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver. We also, from Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, bring you The Light Between Us, which is a monthly video series spotlighting the team members at Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, telling their incredible stories of positivity, adversity, faith, God, and family. Don't miss our newest story with Michaela Holmes, and thank you for so many people that have watched it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as on YouTube. A big shout out to our top dogs of the week, my friends who show up and choose to be there. God bless you all, and God bless the team at Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, who do a fantastic job of taking care of our furry-loving friends for the day as well as for the weeks when we're away and whatnot. big shout out to Liz Beville once again for the Dolphin Dive, and many thanks to Lemoyne College. I'll see you tomorrow out at Lemoyne for the Phin Phrenzy doubleheader, women's lacrosse at 11 a.m., men's at 2 p.m. And a big, big thanks to Bob Holliday, WRALSportsFan.com contributor, with the extension of the conversation talking about the ACC disrespect and how the numbers just don't add up. So much love to our guests, to our wonderful segments, to all of our partners, and to you. I know Greg told me to have a great weekend out here. I hope you do as well, Greg. So he said, make this weekend a memorable one, DT, and I definitely will. April's almost here tomorrow, so have a great final day of March. End it on a high note, folks. Start off April on a high note as well, and may this month be a beautiful month for you, and I hope that April is even more beautiful for all of us. Find us on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. God bless. No stress. Do your best. Be kind, be good, be you, and be proud of the skin that